The arena floor was slick with the blood of 100 species. Commander Vexithor stood 9 feet tall, his forearms bristling with plasma blades that hummed with lethal energy. Chitinous armor covered his body like living metal, each plate inscribed with the names of warriors he had slain. His reptilian eyes, cold and merciless, fixed upon the 2 humans standing before him. "I'll kill you, human, if you don't kneel," the alien warrior roared, his voice echoing across the vast coliseum where 50,000 spectators from across the galactic dominion had gathered to witness the spectacle. Anna stood beside Oliver, her jaw set, blood trickling from a cut above her eyebrow. Her combat suit was torn in 3 places and her left arm hung at an awkward angle. Oliver's condition was worse. His ribs were likely broken and he was favoring his right leg. Yet despite their injuries, despite the impossibility of their situation, Oliver smiled. It wasn't a smile of resignation or madness. It was the smile of someone who knew something the rest of the galaxy had yet to learn. Vexthor had conquered 47 worlds. He had personally executed the champions of a dozen species who dared to resist the Dominion's expansion. The Krell had sent their best bio-enhanced soldiers. The Cynthian Collective had deployed their most advanced combat androids. The Phaeron Empire had offered their genetically perfected warriors. All had knelt. All had died. And now, 2 humans, members of a species that had only just achieved faster-than-light travel, whose homeworld had been annexed without firing a single shot, stood before him, refusing to submit. "You find death amusing?" Vexthor hissed, taking a step forward. The plasma blades in his hands crackled with anticipation. Oliver wiped blood from his mouth with the back of his hand. "Not death," he said, his voice carrying across the silent arena. "Just the irony." Anna shifted her weight, readying herself despite her injuries. She and Oliver had served together in Earth's resistance, the underground movement that refused to accept the Dominion's rule. They had been captured during a raid on a supply depot, and as punishment for their defiance, they had been thrown into the arena, entertainment for the masses, an example for any human who might think of rebellion. Irony? Vexthor's mandibles clicked in confusion and rage. "You've conquered dozens of species," Oliver continued, taking a painful breath. "Species stronger than us, faster than us, species that live longer, think quicker, and were born to fight." He took a limping step forward. "But you don't understand what makes us dangerous." The alien commander laughed, a sound like grinding rocks. "You are weak. Your species is fragile. You break easily, die quickly. There is nothing special about humans except your stubbornness, and even that will not save you." Anna spoke for the first time, her voice steady despite her pain. "He's right, you know. We do break easily. We're not the strongest or the fastest." She looked up at the towering warrior. "But we're the only species in this galaxy that doesn't know when to quit." Vexthor's eyes narrowed. In the crowd, the spectators leaned forward. Something in the human's tone had shifted. What had begun as an execution was becoming something else entirely. Oliver's smile widened, though it clearly hurt him to do so. "You asked us to kneel. But here's the thing about humans. We've been kneeling for our entire history. We've knelt to kings and emperors, to dictators and tyrants. We've knelt to gods and storms and the void itself." His voice grew stronger, and every single time we got back up. "You think your spirit will save you?" Vexthor roared. "I will crush—" He never finished the sentence. Anna had been slowly, imperceptibly shifting her weight. Her broken arm might be useless, but her leg still worked. She launched herself forward with a speed that surprised even the veteran warrior, sliding beneath his guard. Oliver moved simultaneously despite his injuries, grabbing a discarded plasma blade from a fallen combatant nearby. What happened next would be replayed across every screen in the Dominion for weeks to come. Vexthor was faster, stronger, and better armed. By all rights, he should have cut them down in seconds. But Anna and Oliver didn't fight like the other species. They didn't fight with honor or according to established combat protocols. They fought dirty. They fought desperate. They fought like humans. Anna used Vexthor's size against him, staying close where his longer reach became a disadvantage. Oliver struck not at armored sections but at joints, at vulnerable spots that no honorable warrior would target. They didn't take turns or fight one-on-one. They swarmed, coordinated, adapted. When Anna fell, Oliver covered her. When Oliver stumbled, Anna was there. They absorbed damage that should have killed them and kept moving. Each time Vexthor thought he had them, they found another reserve of strength, another desperate gambit. The arena fell silent except for the sound of combat. The spectators, who had come expecting an execution, were witnessing something unprecedented. The humans were losing, there was no doubt about that. They were slower with each exchange, their movements more labored. But they weren't dying as quickly as they should. Vexthor, for the first time in his long career, began to understand fear. Not fear that he would lose, that was impossible, but fear of what these humans represented. Every species he had faced had a breaking point, a moment when survival instinct overrode courage, when they would choose life over honor. These humans had no such limit. They would fight until their bodies physically gave out, not because they thought they could win, but because surrender simply wasn't in their nature. Anna finally collapsed, her body unable to continue. Oliver stood over her, plasma blade raised, swaying on his feet. Blood covered his face and his breathing came in ragged gasps. Vexthor stood before them, barely scratched but breathing heavily, his honor and confidence shaken. "Last chance, human," Vexthor said, though his voice lacked its earlier certainty. "Kneel, and I will grant you a quick death." Oliver looked up at the towering warrior, at the 50,000 spectators watching in silence, at the cameras broadcasting this across the Dominion. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper, but in the perfect silence of the arena, everyone heard. "We're humans," he said, that same smile returning to his face. "We don't kneel. Not anymore. Not ever again." Then he charged. The strike that finally felled Oliver would have killed any other species instantly. But even as he fell, even as darkness closed around him, he reached up and left one final mark on Vexthor's armor. A scratch, barely visible, but there. A reminder. When the medical teams rushed in to collect the bodies, they found both humans still breathing. Barely. Against all logic and Dominion medical knowledge, they survived. As did the message they had sent. Within a week, human resistance cells across annexed worlds increased their activities tenfold. The other subjugated species began to whisper and wonder. If humans, weak, fragile, outmatched humans, could stand against a warrior like Vexthor, what was stopping them? The Dominion had won the battle in the arena that day. But as Anna and Oliver were carried out on stretchers, still alive, still defiant, everyone watching understood the same truth. Humanity had just won something far more important.